I'm a big fan of points for vacations. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. You'll never guess who's calling me right now.
Oh, is it our fearless leader?
It sure is. Hey, Kenny, you're on the podcast.
Are you guys recording this?
Oh, yeah.
I might jump in Riverside and hang.
Yeah, hop in. Hop in. We miss you.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Kenny. Hey.
Kenny!
Look who's been here the whole time.
Oh my God, I'm so late to this thing.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Travel Nerds Podcast without our fearless leader, Connor Ann. And we lost our second most fearless leader, Kenny, to work responsibilities. So we're now on the third string of hosts, which is yours truly, producer Nathaniel. Thankfully, it's not just me. I am joined by producer extraordinaire Diana and our financial guru, Christy. And that is because today we are talking travel credit cards, travel rewards points, how to maximize your money when you travel. And I have a lot of opinions, but not all of them are the right ones. And I have a lot of thoughts. And I'm sure all of you wonderful listeners have a lot of thoughts because credit cards are a topic that people have different opinions on. And depending on how you grew up, you either used a credit card for everything. Maybe you were a cash in an envelope kind of person. Maybe you were a debit card person. So we're going to talk about the best way to use credit cards so that you don't lose all your money, but so that hopefully you can get the best travel rewards. So hi, Diana and Christy. How are you?
Howdy. We're good. I mean, I'm good. Christy, how are you?
I'm doing well.
That's
complain.
good. Thank you. Thank you for joining I feel like this is the version of the podcast where it's the airplane held together with duct tape, like the kind that was in Madagascar that they kind of pieced together out of wood. And hopefully this goes all right. So
we're all tied third place for third most fearless leaders.
There we go. Until I drop out and one of you has to pick rank, I think we can all hold third place on the podcast. I'll take it. Yay for
Excellent.
third.
This is good.
It's great. So we've got a lot of cards to look at. We've got a lot of thoughts, but I wanted to start by talking about credit cards in general because I don't want to forget the segment of people that might not have either grown up using credit cards or had anybody talk about credit cards. So we brought in Christy, who is the most excited person I have ever met to talk about finances and
So true.
How to budget and spend your money well. So I figured you were a natural choice to talk about. First of all, a little bit about credit cards. What is a credit card and maybe how can we use them responsibly? Because a lot of people are either afraid of them or can get into trouble with credit cards.
That's a great question. Credit cards, well, they're the little, plastic things about this size, just in case you didn't know. But they are much more powerful than just a typical piece of plastic. Or dangerous, depending on how you look at it.
Major paper cuts.
Paper cuts, definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of people can get into trouble with credit cards, though, because they forget that piece of plastic is actually attached to physical cash or cash in your bank account. And if you forget that, it's very easy to just pull out your credit card and pay for something and go, woohoo! And then, you look at your statement at the end of the month and you go, oh, wow, I spent way more money than I realized. And I spent way more money than I have. And now I can't pay it off. Bummers.
That's real sad.
It is. Don't do that. I would probably the first thing that I recommend is just treat it like a debit card. Just don't spend money that you don't have. That's the easiest way to avoid trouble is to just not get into trouble in the first place. Just treat it like a debit card. If you don't have the money, don't spend it. Don't ever carry a balance. Make sure you pay off the full balance each month. Not that you have to put it down to zero each month, but say your statement ends on the 12th and you pay your bill on, the 24th. make sure that you've paid off the full statement that ended on the 12th. You might have some transactions between the 12th and the 24th that you don't have to pay off yet because they're for the next month. But make sure that you're paying off your full statement balance each month. So that way you're not carrying a balance, because I'm not sure about y'all's credit card companies, but whenever I go to pay, it always says, pay off, minimum amount due is $35, and, but
Nice.
then it gives you the option to pay off the full statement balance. Always do the full statement balance. Never choose a $35, because you're like, oh, great, I don't have to pay it off. And then they get you with interest rates.
It always shocks me how low that minimum amount is. And then I remember, wait, that's how a credit card makes money. Is that option right there?
They make money by hoping that you are making poor financial choices.
I was going to ask a question. So, if you have all these credit cards, and I guess it would be a nightmare if you didn't have notifications turned on. How would you recommend handling and balancing all your cards?
So I would recommend knowing when all of your statements end, when the end of your statements are. If possible, it's great if you can get them to sort of line up to be within a week of each other, so that way you're only having to pay bills one time each month. So I typically only have to pay the bills once each month, in terms of, at least when I look at the credit cards, because their statements all end at the first half of the month. So in the second half of the month, I pick a time frame and pay all of them off at once. And what I also sometimes do, I was that person that grew up with the cash envelope system. And so when getting paychecks and stuff throughout the month, I'll set aside money for things to pay off my credit cards. I've got an account for gas and groceries, or an account for, rent, or an account for savings, or an account for, car insurance that I just put a little bit in, each month. So that way when, that comes every 6 months, you have the money to pay it off. And you're not having to put it on a credit card and pay interest on that. That being said, if you ever do get in a situation where something comes up that you can't prepare for and you have to use a credit card for more money than you have, typically this would be if you've got this really awful hospital bill or some sort of unforeseen medical circumstance where there's really not much you can do and you have to use a card for more money than you have. It might be helpful if you know which of your cards has the lowest APR. So that way you're not getting, completely wrecked in your finances. Say you have a card that has, a 17% APR and a card that has a 29% APR. Maybe use the one with the 17% APR, if you do have a super large purchase that you can't quite pay off yet, because less interest is better. You don't want to pay more in interest than you don't have to.
That makes sense. So then let's say we've got a credit card, we pay it off responsibly, and we're racking up either points or cash. Woohoo!
Yes.
What's just general across the board recommendations for how to use those? Do you have ideas on best practices or anything that people could use?
I'm a fan of saving them and just pretending that they don't exist. Because oftentimes, when you do go to pay off your card, it'll give the option of, you've earned this much in cash back or points. Would you like to redeem this to help pay off your card? No, don't do that. I mean, if you save them and then you ever get in a financial pickle one month and you need that extra money to help pay off your card, great, you have it because you haven't used it. So I would recommend just saving them, pretending like it doesn't exist, letting it accrue, and that way you can either use it in the case of an emergency, or if you have a vacation that you have planned in a year. Well, let your points stack up throughout the whole year, and then hey, maybe half your vacation or all of it could be paid in credit card points, and you basically just get to go on a free vacation.
And that feels good.
Or you could use them for, it does feel good. I tend to use them for Christmas gifts just because that's fun. And that way, because that's something that I always like I know that I should be thinking about for the rest throughout the year, but I kind of forget to put aside money for it. And so this way I don't have to. I just have like one of the cards I don't touch, and know that card's credit card points is now I have a Christmas budget. And then the other credit card is travel budget. So
thank you, Christy, for all of those fine tips and tricks. And thank you to Diana and Kenny, who were both intently listening this whole time and are wonderful members of this podcast. And I would miss both of you greatly if you were not here for any portion of it. But let's get back into the content, the meat of the podcast, which is talking about some of these travel cards. If you Google travel cards, there's a whole lot of them. And we were just buzzing through an article which lists the top, I think, 10. And that's not even really scraping the bottom of the barrel, because there are a lot of options when it comes to travel rewards cards and different approaches you can take, whether that's cashback cards or points cards or an airline card or a hotel card. In general, we left off a lot of the airline-specific cards. Reason being, if you are an airline loyalist, if you are Kenny, and you are Delta till the day you die, then the Delta card is probably going to be one that you get a lot of use out of, because you will get the most airline-specific rewards. Same if you are, same if you're a big Southwest or Amex, or Amex isn't an airline.
Are there big Southwest people?
There's a few. My mom is one, believe it or not. But she actually, I should say, my mom is a big Southwest person, but she always books them for us. She doesn't fly Southwest. So
she flies Delta?
Yeah, Delta and American are her go-tos. So I guess
she sticks you guys on Southwest and then flies American or Delta.
Yeah.
What is Thanksgiving and Christmas like?
Well, usually we get there. When and with how many bags is the question. You know, she's the one who has to pick us up, though. So when we're like, Mom, we're waiting for our bags, she can't really be mad at anyone but herself.
There you go.
So,
wow.
But yes, we left off all of those cards with the exception of one, which Diana will talk about a bit in a minute. But in general, we're going to talk about generally broader travel branded cards. And we will start with you, Diana. Tell us about what card you did some digging into and what the perks are.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Nathaniel. Have you guys heard of Allegiant Airlines? Because they have a MasterCard that you can now buy. With a very low annual fee. Yes. Actually, according to USA Today readers, they have voted it the best airline credit card. So that's kind of cool. You get 3 times the points per $1 on all Allegiant purchases, 2 times the points per $1 on qualifying dining purchases, and $1 per point on pretty much anything else. Like if you are like me and frequently have to buy or restock on your hot Cheetos and Takis, really good deal. There's a 15,000 bonus point online offer. That's like $150 off of a future Allegiant trip. Now, why Allegiant? Well, if you live like not near a big city, in some of the rural, areas, it's kind of nicer to fly with the local airports. You get an overall good experience. And I know actually, Nathaniel, don't you have some experience flying Allegiant?
I do. I'm a big fan of the small airport experience for short trips. So where we live, you can take the trek all the way downtown to Orlando and fly out of MCO and pay $1 million to park your car and hope that no one takes it. Or I can go 10 minutes up the road to Sanford, which is a nice little airport. And they have a little short hop flight to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is another small airport. And especially when I am just doing real quick weekend trips or shorter trips, I am a big fan of that because security takes about 5 minutes to get through. You only have to walk like a quarter mile total rather than 1.5 miles. It's lovely. So big fan of small airports.
That's awesome. Hey, it sounds like you could use an Allegiant card because if you buy one, you get 1 free airfare offer, your points won't expire, and there's complimentary boarding. Priority boarding, actually. So even better.
So that's how those lucky ducks get on the plane before me.
You also get a free beverage. Did you know that?
I like that.
What would you get? What beverage?
That could be a deal breaker. That could be the tipping point for that card.
You get a free water.
Hey, they make you dump out your water for security. You gotta stay hydrated.
And then you can just buy it like after that point, which is super weird. Like, what?
Don't get me started on the liquid rules from TSA. I don't want to. That's a whole. We're going to burn 20 minutes of this podcast with me ranting about that. But it's dumb and it shouldn't exist. Continue.
Well, I have to ask now, what beverage besides water, obviously, would you get on Allegiant with your one beverage?
I don't know. They have like the usual flight of like, you know, sodas and coffees and alcoholic mixed drinks. If I'm flying early morning, I might do like
vodka,
like a Bailey's and coffee. And then if we're talking evening, maybe more of like a Jack and Coke might be my go-tos.
Nice. Those are good.
Yeah. And I will say, so since I have sat on Allegiant flights more than once, and I've heard their spiel more than once, if you are interested in an Allegiant card, you are best off getting the card. This is a little weird, but book a flight with them. And then when you're on that flight, sign up for the card because they will credit you the points for that flight. But you get, I think you said, what was the introductory offer on miles? 15,000?
It was like, yeah, 15,000. Good memory.
So I think it's closer to 45,000 if you're on their flight. They like double or triple the introductory offer, and you still get credit for that flight. So nifty little hack.
That's a great hack. I love that.
So, great
so
little.
Everyone should buy this card.
If you are near an Allegiant airport, it sounds like they're not a bad choice. Okay, so let's go one tier above. Let's say you want something a little broader, a little generic, but you're not sure if you're quite into the spending money on your travel cards tier yet. Christy, do you have a recommendation we could use?
I do. The Capital One Venture One Rewards card is a pretty good, just all around travel card for kind of like a regular or occasional traveler. It's just not specific to any airline or hotels or anything like that. Their miles can be transferred to multiple different hotels and airlines though. So it's great if you travel occasionally, you're not super tied to one airline or one, hotel or one rental car company, things like that. The biggest pro of that card is that there's no annual fee.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Free is best.
Right. Especially for a travel card. The fact that there's no annual fee is really helpful. You get 1.25 miles for every dollar on every purchase. That's just every purchase in general. And you get 5 miles per dollar on hotels and rental cars if you book specifically through Capital One Travel. So it's a pretty good card, if you use their travel platform to book your hotels and your rental cars and stuff. The nice thing about that is that you don't even have to fly anywhere to rack up travel points. You can just, rent a car or do like a weekend stay, or like a day trip, around your state and get some travel points. So that's kind of fun too. They also have a 20,000 mile intro bonus, which is quite helpful. That can be worth about $200 if you use it directly on their Capital One portal, or if you transfer those miles to an airline or hotel partner with them, it could be worth even more. The only thing is you have to spend $500 within the first 3 months in order to get that 20,000 miles. But like Nathaniel was saying with the Allegiant card, you could probably, get the Capital One's reward card, book your next trip on that. Voila, you have your $500, dollars that you've spent. Plus now you have these 20,000 miles that you can use either for that trip or the next trip. The other awesome thing about that card is that there's no foreign transaction fees, which is also not terribly common for a no annual fee card. So no foreign transaction fees and no annual fees. Pretty good deal. It's not as high end as some other cards. The earning rate obviously isn't that much. And if you're, travel a lot more, you're more of a moderate to a big spender, you're probably going to earn more points elsewhere. If you're a Delta loyalist, probably should go with the Delta card. So, there's give and take. And if you have a really good cashback card, that could also potentially be just as lucrative. But if you're looking specifically for points and for miles, and you aren't tied to a specific, airline brand or hotel brand or rental car brand, the Capital One Venture One Rewards card is a pretty solid option.
That's pretty awesome. I was going to say a lot of these cards also, they have travel insurance like kind of baked in, which is a really nice perk, which I didn't find out until I went to Japan and then I paid for travel insurance. And then someone said, hey, did you know that your card might have travel insurance? And it turns out most of them do. So definitely look that up if you're going to be traveling a lot. They cover specific things. Sometimes you might need like something extra if you're like, wow, I'm going to go on a ski trip and that, maybe you're a little accident prone. So just check the coverage on your card.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great point. If it's a travel focused card, there's a decent chance that you will have some kind of trip insurance. I'll piggyback off of your selection, Christy, and stay in the Capital One vein. Prior to meeting Kenny, I would have said I was a Capital One loyalist, but he kind of redefined that category for me. But I have been a longtime user of Capital One. I'm a big fan. I will say they did burn me once on a cruise where they wouldn't approve my credit card. And I didn't have internet, so I couldn't get online to click the "This is me" thing. And then it was a whole big shindig, and that's the reason I always carry an Amex card parallel. But since then, they've cleaned up their act. They've cleaned up their act a bit, and I've had less issues. But Capital One does have a top tier version of their travel card for people that fly more frequently or travel more frequently, and that would be their Venture X rewards card. Now, right off the bat, it is a bit steeper than free. You're looking at a $395 annual fee. But before you balk too hard at that, this card comes with a $300 annual travel credit for anything you book through Capital One Travel. And you also get a $100 credit towards global entry or pre-check. And if you are a frequent traveler and you don't have pre-check or global entry, honestly, at this point, I don't know why you don't just get global entry because it includes pre-check. I don't know what you're doing. And if you are the person listening that travels frequently without global entry or pre-check, call me and I want to know why you hate yourself so much. Because
call you because Diana didn't have TSA pre-check. And I forced her to get it for our upcoming trip.
Oh my gosh.
We're looking at you, Diana.
Why?
That's fine.
How are you living? What were you doing?
You know what? COVID did something to me. I was an extrovert and now I'm like, wait, I haven't seen people in a month? Cool. I haven't been anywhere? Oh, snap. All right. Well, I have my dog now, so we're all good. I don't know. Staying at home messes with your mind.
I don't know how you... Pre-check is a game changer. Let me tell you, I show up at airports between 30 minutes to an hour later than I used to because of pre-check. That might not be recommended, but I do it unless I'm at the Denver airport. I just want everyone to know the pre-check line at the Denver airport is the same length, if not slightly longer sometimes, than the regular line. So just know that. Okay. And Denver airport, get your act together.
Denver airport is also very, very large and potentially confusing.
and it has the best conspiracy theory attached to it of any airport.
Oh,
have you seen the conspiracy theory art, in the on the walls and stuff?
Yes. No. Do you want to just fill in the audience? Can you give a little, maybe 60-second, 2-minute rundown of the conspiracy around Denver Airport?
Oh my
Christy?
gosh, it's a thing.
Please do. She doesn't want to be implicated if it's true.
I don't want any bad press.
The Illuminati may be coming for her.
Oh no. They might.
All right, Kenny, you can fly away if something goes down. What's the conspiracy theory?
To be honest with you, I was hoping Christy was going to carry it away from me. But I know that there's a fantastic conspiracy. Here is what I know. Let's just deal in what I know, which I would say is 5% of the possible story here. So Denver Airport is fairly new, and there is a gigantic statue outside the Denver Airport, which has raised some alarms, is what I would say. The statue is of a horse on its hind legs, and I believe at night it has red eyes.
Okay,
so
that's cool.
They think that, apparently it's called Lucifer, and it has some type of satanic ties, and possibly some ties to the Illuminati and aliens, and maybe a big underground tunnel system that could be like a secret. There's a whole thing here. I feel like I'm totally whiffing on this.
You know what?
And this probably deserves a whole segment.
It's a thing. The secret tunnels for the world's elite. Potentially the New World Order, Illuminati, Freemasons. Potentially, some people even say that the Denver airport is home to a colony of lizard people.
Oh,
I'm a lizard person. Like, you like having them? Or you are one?
You are one. But
okay, I'm not, I promise.
I was like, your human skin looks great if you're a lizard person.
It's just a hotel block of people that have pet lizards.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
I will join that cult. That's great.
You know what? When Connor Ann gets back from this vacation and before she goes on her next one, we'll make her do a video. This will be a teaser. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Travel Nerds Pod, and on Twitter, travel_nerds. And Connor Ann, at some point in the near future, will fill you in on the Denver airport conspiracy.
She loves a good conspiracy too, so this will be right up her alley.
Well, it sounds like this airport's actually a destination. Like, I mean, why go anywhere else in Colorado if you have the airport to,
You know what? Let's do it.
I have slept in that airport before.
Oh my gosh. You made it out alive.
I did make it out alive, but I didn't want to say too much.
The devil didn't claim your soul?
No, thankfully.
Group trip to the Denver airport. Not to go anywhere, just to the airport. Oh, man. All right. Global. See what happens when you talk about pre-check? This is what happens when you don't have pre-check, Diana. You go down on rabbit trails.
Oh, she has it now.
Oh,
we
thank
made
goodness.
sure of it.
Okay, honestly though, the biggest convincing thing is that like sometimes I like accidentally forget there's like stuff in my trunk. I'm like, shoot, now I'm going to be like 30 minutes late. So knowing that I could go 30 minutes later to the airport because of that TSA pre-check, that pays for itself too.
Yeah. Huge. I can only speak for MCO, which I fly out of most frequently right now. But MCO, you save good time. Anyway,
That's
sorry,
awesome.
Capital One for stealing your thunder. Venture X rewards card, as we were discussing, annual fee, but you get credits. Let's talk about some of those points because Christy touched on some of the points earnings, which are definitely tasty. But if you're going to spring for the Venture X card, you get a little more. You get 10 times miles earnings on hotels and rental cars, and 5 times the miles on flights that you book through Capital One Travel.
Ooh,
so as
times?
You can imagine,
wow.
Yeah, so that racks up really quickly. And Capital One Travel, just like any other travel booking company, has all of the main carriers. The pricing will look the same across everything that you're doing. So it's a great way to book through them, get extra miles. They send you all of your flights and information directly from whoever you're booking through. So it's not like, if you've ever done like a Travelocity or a Kayak and you're through some third party and they're sending you stuff, and it's more direct through them, which is great. And then you get double miles on everything else. If you've seen the Capital One ads, then you know double miles on every purchase. Well, that is true. They will give you 2 times the miles on every dollar you spend. So as you can imagine, this is a great way to rack up travel rewards really quickly. You get a couple other perks as well. You get into Capital One lounges, you and another 2 guests all the time. Now that sounds like a lot, but at the moment there is only one Capital One lounge, and it's in Texas. So, but don't worry, they're getting ready to add 2, and one of the planned additions is in Denver. So you have that to look forward to.
Another destination.
Yeah. But they also have a partnership with Priority Pass and Plaza Premium Group. And after doing some looking around, those are much more widespread, especially the Plaza Premium Group. If you're domestic, they have lounges in a good number of airports. And those are the same. It gets in you and 2 other guests an unlimited amount of times. So that's great. And then you also get a bunch of other subscription ads for Prior and The Cultist and Gravity House, all of these very specific things if you are a big ski or food and travel blog fan. Miles don't expire, as Christy hit on, also no foreign transaction fees, which is great because if you go on a lot of cruises like I do, sometimes you forget that you're actually out of the country. And people can very quickly get hit with foreign transaction fees when they hop off in a port. So those are all great perks, and altogether, I think it's a great option if you're stepping into a lot of travel, but you don't want to spend too much money. And I should say they always have introductory offers. So theirs is 75,000 miles after you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months. But if you are flying a lot or frequently traveling, or quite frankly, if you are going to spring for a $395 annual fee credit card, you're probably going to be fine to hit that. But they do also give you 10,000 miles every year on the anniversary of signing up. So that is another nice
cool
little perk. So to me, that was I saw that and I was like, that's the upper echelon of credit cards. But I figured I would give Kenny a shot since Kenny likes to carry cards made of metal. I figured I'd see what he might be able to dig up. And something tells me you might have found an even more premium travel card than I did.
Yeah, I see your Capital One lounge card, and I raise you an American Express Platinum card. Now, for today's purposes, I'm going to lump the personal Platinum, which is often referred to as the Classic Platinum, and the Business Platinum. We'll just refer to them as the same card, even though there is a little bit of difference. But this is the best credit card if you are a frequent traveler. So immediately upon signing up, you are going to have to part with $695. So it's going to sting. Ooh. But that $695 annual fee is going to give you well over $1,500 worth of value. And here's how it breaks down. The biggest value is you will get access to all the Centurion lounges, in which there's a really strong network. And then you also get access into the Delta Sky Club. So the biggest reason that you would get this card is no one wants to be in the airport with all the commoners. Okay. You want to be in the lounge. You want to be eating and drinking free food, miles away from all the crowds and the noise and people crowding the gate. Right? My app tells me that we're boarding. I walk out of the lounge, put down my drink, and I walk onto the plane. That's what the Amex Platinum gives you. Now, there's some other pretty cool stuff too. So for almost $700 a year, you better get some pretty cool stuff. And you do. You get a $200 hotel credit. You also get $240 of digital entertainment credit. This basically makes your like Disney Plus or ESPN Plus or Hulu free for the year. You also get $155 worth of Walmart Plus credit for
Walmart?
Free.
I love Walmart.
Walmart. Diana's favorite spot. You get $200 worth of Uber Cash. You get a $200 airline fee credit.
Holy cow.
And then you also get $300 with Equinox, which I guess is a gym. And then there's a whole bunch of other perks, including what we were just talking about. They pay for your Clear membership each year. So that $695 stretches a pretty far way, but it's not over. One of the biggest reasons to get this card, if you are booking a lot of travel, is you earn 5 times points on flights, 5 times points on hotel, and then 1% on all other purchases. So how I ended up looking into these cards, and I don't know if you guys are like this too, but I always used to play a game where I'd be scrolling on Instagram and I'd see people that I know take amazing vacations. And I'm like, wait a second. And I do the back of the envelope math. I don't know if this is healthy or not. And I'm like, wait a second. This place is $500 a night. They flew first class. And I was like, and I understand what an accountant's salary. I Google it, right? And then I find like, oh my God, this vacation they just took, it's like a $5,000 vacation. I was like, how do they do this? And so I ended up asking one of the people who I'm actually close with, and they're like, oh, I just booked it all on points. I'm like, what? So for his business, he was able to put their entire advertising budget on his Amex Platinum. So he had 3 million points in his account.
Easy peasy.
So the pro move is if you own a business or any kind of business, small business, and you can put business expenses on a credit card, you could basically fly and travel around in luxury for relatively very small amounts of money throughout the year. So Instagram and envy is what led me to finding out about the Amex Platinum card. And this is my final thing. I think the best thing about the Amex Platinum card is just this like subtle little flex when you pay for something and you hand it and they just feel the weight of it, or it drops mistakenly on the table and it clanks and it makes that noise. There's something about that noise it's beautiful and it's worth $695.
I will say I didn't get that until yesterday when a package arrived at my front door, a UPS package that I opened up that had another box. And normally when you get credit cards, it's in like it's an envelope. You open it up. But I just became a Delta. You'll never guess who talked me into becoming a Delta Sky Miles Reserve member. But I had some long mileage international flights, and I was like, if I'm ever going to do this, this is when I'm going to do it. And it came in a box, and the box, it like rivaled the experience of opening an Apple product. It like opened up, and it had like a little pull-up tab that was like your adventure awaits, and it had all these little cards showing you everything about your card. And I pulled it out and I sprung for the metal one. And as soon as I picked that up, in my mind, I instantly made 5 times more than I actually make. It didn't matter. Like I immediately, and it's a problem now because I was like, oh, that weight. And I smacked my wife with it and she was confused, but I was like, whop, whop, whop. And there's something about a metal card that just, all of my rationale went out the door, and I'm very worried because the next time I'm traveling with this, which I think will be next week, I'm going to need to be very careful not to lose it because I'm dropping it in front of everybody.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And one of the cool things about Amex that I appreciate is me and my wife, we were victims of a little scam. We got a little scam. We bought Hamilton tickets online, and we did not receive those Hamilton tickets, and they were, I don't know, maybe like $800 in total. And so I called Amex and they pull up my account. I've been a card member for a pretty long time. I have multiple Amex cards, and they say, don't worry, Mr. Totten, we're refunding you the money.
Oh,
no questions asked.
Wow.
And to me, my loyalty stays with Amex because they're like, sorry, you got scammed. Hopefully that you can see the show. And then they offered to book me for free Lin-Manuel Miranda to come and rap for me in my living room. And I was like, come on. I mean, this is Amex at its finest.
Did you say yes to that?
About the Lin.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. Did you believe that? No. Lin-Manuel Miranda is not just on their payroll, just going to people's homes.
I was about to scam you out of tickets so that Lin-Manuel Miranda would have to come rap on this podcast.
Could you imagine? It's like, oh, that actually would be a pretty good experience, though.
Our new jingle? Come on.
The Travel Nerds jingle is a little rap from Lynn.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay, so I believed you because like you're talking about this fantastic card that I'm sure he probably owns. So because he's a loyalty member, maybe he's like, free membership for 2 years.
Yeah, he's like, Kenny? Oh yeah, come in. And then he's like, I heard that you got scammed and Amex refunded you some money, so I'm here to sing some songs from Hamilton.
It's just a day in the life of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, and then he like checks his calendar. He's like done. He does like a little 3 song set. He checks his calendar, And he's like, shit, I got 3 more of these today. All right, gotta go.
Oh my gosh.
All right, last thing about the Amex card, and I'm wrapping it up. If you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months, which is pretty reasonable, you earn 100,000 membership rewards points, which basically comes out to like a penny per point. So you can think about that as another $1,000 worth of travel that you get given to you. And if you are really just crazy about the credit cards, every September you should just open up a new one of these and transfer your spending, put all your Christmas goodies and holiday goodies on the card, and then pretty much you'll be taking at least half off or a free vacation every summer for the rest of your life.
That's not bad.
I like free, as we've established. So it seems to me like there's a pretty good method to basically scale your credit card to your spending. So this is off the top of my head, so don't quote me on it. But if you're looking at the introductory offer and going like, oh my gosh, $4,000 in 3 months, I'll never hit that, then odds are that you won't make full use of the card. But if you're looking at it, it's within what you would normally spend, then I can almost guarantee, because this is what I've done so far with all of my upgrades, is if you look at what you're spending on the card and you look at what you're getting, generally that will track pretty well. So just a little fun fact, if you don't think you'll ever hit the introductory offer, then probably a lot of the bulk of the rewards that the card is offering might be a little hard to reach without stretching beyond your means.
I think it's really about the term too. So like the Amex Platinum card is $6,000 in 6 months. So that's $1,000 a month broken down. And America is almost impossible to not spend $1,000 a month just to live.
Yeah. On Takis, so, even in Walmart.
Even in Walmart.
Even in Walmart. So yeah, but I think when it gets, I haven't seen 6 months as a term often. I've seen 3 months a lot, and 3 months can be tough. Like I've seen the offer of spend, $6,000 in 3 months. And yeah, for some people that could be a little bit testy, but I think that you're right about scaling your spending. So sometimes it's about the time of the year too. Like if you're going to be a heavy spender in the holidays, it's the perfect time in like September, October to open up a card, because then you get all your holiday spending. And then if you make the bonus, you could take that summer vacation and maybe you have 100,000 or 200,000 points in your account and you're going to Hawaii or Walmart for free.
What if you went to Walmart in Hawaii?
Diana's
does
been.
that exist?
So, Diana, how was that?
Oh man, the coconut deal is so good.
Is there a Walmart in Japan that you visited?
No, they have. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Japan really values KFC during Christmas time. Like Colonel Sanders is like Santa, so like that was the most surprising like American branded, experience that I saw that was also like Japanified. But like apparently once upon a time, Japan's like, oh my gosh, America loves KFC. They eat it for Christmas. We should too. And I'm like, wait, I think that's a lie, but it's even better that y'all do it, because we went to KFC this Christmas because we forgot to make dinner and it was closed. And we're like, yep, definitely a lie.
Dang, they got you with the KFC lies.
And if you're a first time listener to the pod and you don't get why we keep talking about Walmart and then looking at Diana, it's because last week, it may be one of the best pod clips that I've heard, at least this week, that we were talking about revenge travel and Diana was not familiar with the term. So I explained it. And, most people, okay, I've been locked up. I'm going to take that crazy trip. I'm going to do it. And Diana was like, oh, like going to Walmart. And then, so we thought that Diana's version of a vacation was to Walmart. So this, along with pigs, will probably be in our joke lineup for at least a few weeks or months to come.
Pigs and Walmart. We're building a good core lore of the podcast.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's a great Florida podcast. It really is.
Pigs and Walmart. Man, we'll do a full episode on pigs and Walmart at some point.
Let me ask you this. Am I off base for like doing back of the envelope math on people's vacations and what they cost? Do you ever look at someone on Instagram or someone that you don't know, you're like, I wonder how much money they make, or I wonder how much that costs. This can't just be me, right?
No, it's not. But
thanks for not making me feel alone.
Yeah, I don't really crunch the numbers. What I do is I'll look up the flights, and then that's where you lose me immediately. I won't get past the flights. I'll be like,
see, I've
done
flights, I've done hotels, and then I've estimated like what it costs to eat. And I'm like, ooh, that's a $6,000 vacation. Do I buy that you spent $6,000 cash on this, or did you have a credit card? That's how I got into the game.
My first assumption is almost always who's paying for that, because I don't believe that you can afford it. But,
Same.
Yeah, like who is paying $22,000 to buy a ticket on Singapore Airlines to sit in their first class that the side comes down and there's a bed and a chair and it's like a king size bed? Who is there anyone that's actually coughing up $22,000 for a single flight?
There probably is. I just have no idea that we'll ever be able to interact in person in our lifetime.
We got to get them on the pod.
You might bump into them in the Delta Sky Lounge. That's your shot.
Maybe it's Lin-Manuel himself being like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I have
Do you
Amex.
think that Lin has ever spent I guess he's had to spend $20,000 on a flight because he probably flies private. So
Ooh, yeah.
get a little pricier than $20,000.
You think he has a jet?
He should. He made Hamilton.
That's okay. Where's the card that adds up to you being able to fly on a private jet? Because here's the thing. I've booked flights on a lot of different platforms, and occasionally you'll hit a platform that's like trying to find you a flight, and they go, oh, private air carrier. And it's like, well, if you just spend $8,000 for this 40-minute flight, like it's a private. So I want to know what it would take to get a private jet flight. Is there a card for that? Or is that just what the people who are spending money are just going, yeah, we'll spend it on my own jet.
Kenny wants to be that guy.
There's probably not a card, but I mean, you could think flying private runs you anywhere between like $3,000 and $10,000 per flying hour. So if you're going to New York and you call it like 2.5, maybe 3 hours, and you had like a light jet, maybe call it like that's a $30,000 one-way flight. About that.
That'll earn you your points for that vacation.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Might earn you into debt.
Yeah, that's true.
I hope that if you book a private jet and you spent $25,000 on a one-way ticket, if that also puts you in debt, that's insane. Like, I gotta meet that person because they're off their rocker, or they're just, it's like their last days and they're like YOLO.
They're like, this is it. But then even still, the way you're choosing to go out is to fly from Orlando to New York on a private jet. Like, you couldn't even fly south and go somewhere cool. Well, somewhere warm, but somewhere cool. You know what I'm trying to say.
All right. Just on a weird side note, what's Lin-Manuel Miranda's net worth? Don't Google it. Just yell it out. 3, 2, 1.
$3 billion?
1.3 billion.
Million. I'm way under.
Diana, are you Googling it? Hands up.
No. Oh, hands up? I mean, look, my mic stand is right here.
All right. Christy had 17 million. Nathaniel said,
I think I said in the millions, but I'm going to maybe cheat and say 1 billion.
Okay. Diana?
I think I said 3 billion. So I'm sticking to that.
3 billion. Oh my God. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Hamilton,
CelebrityNetWorth.com is pegging Lin at 80 million.
Oh, that's a lot of jet rides.
He's flying private, but he probably can't own a plane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
He maybe has to Uber pool his private jet. Might have to call up some other members of the cast and be like, anyone want to split a fare?
Oh my gosh.
To the West Coast.
Or split a Delta, because Kenny flies Delta, so
yeah,
they got to wrap for him somehow.
I just want you to promise in closing, Kenny, please promise that if you ever run into Lin-Manuel Miranda in the Delta Sky Lounge, you get a picture with him or something, because And you need to find out, does he carry an Amex Platinum card?
And see if he wants to rap for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'll ask him all those. I'll be like, hey, I'm a psychopath. I have 4 questions. 1, selfie. 2, can you rap for us? He's like, security.
Wait, I have a question for him too.
This is how I get banned from Sky Club.
I
have
would
to ask
feel
him.
so bad.
Nah, you got to ask him if he's been to Walmart, because like I've always wondered, do celebrities shop at Walmart?
Shaq shops at Walmart,
Shaq.
we know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Furnished his whole house at Walmart. That's a fun story. He told it on a bunch of the talk shows. He moved and had to furnish it. I think his card got declined because
Oh, it wasn't Amex? Dang.
Yeah, he had to call and they were like, "Are you trying to spend $30,000 at Walmart?" He was like, "Yeah, obviously." So just got to be careful. Unless you're Diana and they see, they're like, "Oh, Walmart, obviously." Oh, time out. I got to yell at my cat for drinking from the sink. Hey. Time in. Sorry about that. On that note, let's wrap this podcast up. Thank you, Christy and Diana and Kenny, who was here the whole time, for all of the tips and tricks. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe to us everywhere you get a podcast. Rate us. Leave 5 stars if you think we deserve it. If you don't, just don't bother. Wait until we deserve 5 stars and then give us 5 stars. And share this podcast with a friend or an enemy. I won't judge, but we've got something for everybody. Or Lynn.
Share this with Lynn.
If you know him, let's get him on the pod. We want to know how the rich and famous travel. Okay?
Yes.
And
That's
shop.
what we need.
That's
And
please.
shop.
And if you do that, we will give you something for free. And
We'll give you a Delta Amex Platinum for 1 year for free.
Yeah.
deal. If you can get us Lin-Manuel Miranda, I think that's
His price is $695. Come on.
Come on, someone can pull that off. Subscribe to us, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Travel Nerds Pod, and on Twitter, travel_nerds, because we had to add an underscore because of reasons. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you next week. Later, nerds.
Good night.
Or good morning.